Welcome to the Sunday service for the Unitarian Universalist Church of Pensacola. I'm Reverend Alice Silty, and it is my privilege to serve this congregation as minister, a congregation whose mission is to celebrate diversity, strive for justice, and inspire love. When we gather, we typically reflect an area along the Florida Panhandle and the Alabama Gulf Coast. However, in today's world, we're delighted to be able to welcome you from wherever you are. If you would like to learn more about our congregation or about Unitarian Universalism, I invite you to reach out to me. I would be more than happy to talk with you. Again, welcome to our Sunday service.
The chalice lighting words today are by Betsy Dar. May the light of this chalice give light and warmth to our community when we are joyful and when we despair. May we feel the warmth spread from our circle to wider and wider circles until all know that they belong to the one circle of life. For our meditation today, we will be doing Unfinished Business. Life is always unfinished business by Richard S. Gilbert. In the midst of the whirling day, in the hectic rush to be doing, in the frantic pace of life, pause here for a moment, catch your breath, relax your body, loosen your grip on life. Consider that our lives are always unfinished business. Imagine that a picture of our being is never complete. Allow your life to be a work in progress. Do not hurry to mold the masterpiece. Do not rush to finish the picture. Do not be impatient to complete the drawing. From beckoning birth to dawning death. We are in progress. And always there is more to be done. Do not let the incompleteness weigh on your spirit. Do not despair that imperfection marks your every day. And do not fear that we are still in the making. Let us instead be grateful that the world is still to be created. Let us give thanks that we can be more than we are. Let us celebrate the power of the incomplete, for life is always unfinished business.
Be lords unto yourselves, be your confidence, hold to the truth within yourselves, as to the only Lamb. Mother of all, in every age, in every clime, adored by saint, by poet, and by sage, your praise is high have soared. Goddess of nature and of love, all nature sings your care. In life's extravagance you prove the gift of giving fair. O Spirit of unfolding grace and deepest mystery, teach us compassion's gentle face and wisdom's mastery. Teach us to cherish this proud earth, its fragile beauty praise, and for the dreams your joy gives birth, a hopeful future reigns.
In the spirit of community, we light candles to share the significant milestones and transitions in our personal lives. The candles reflect our many joys and sorrows, whether or not we choose to share them out loud. As always, there are joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts yet unspoken, and one of our candles always reflects those.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
What if Mother's Day were called Women's Day, or the celebration of the feminine? How might that influence our culture today? Would we think or feel or even act differently? We all have a story of our own, beginning with women. Perhaps a mother, but perhaps it goes way beyond that. Perhaps we can look deeper into the influence of the feminine, perhaps even the feminine divine. As I began to explore the history of our current experience with Mother's Day, I became challenged once again by the wisdom and the visions of the women that came before me. Celebration of mothers and motherhood can be traced back to the ancient Greeks and Romans, who held festivals in honor of the mother goddess Rhea and Sibyl. Rhea was a Titaness, mother of the gods, and the goddess of female fertility, motherhood, and generation. She was also the goddess of comfort and ease. She was considered a blessing, the great mother of the gods. She was also called Adudicitus. I'm not probably pronouncing that right, but I gave it a shot. Ancient Oriental and Greek Roman deity, known by various local names that predominate in the Greek and the Roman literature. From about the 5th century BC and onward, portrayed as nature goddess of the ancient peoples of Asia Minor. Perhaps the Christian influence began even in the book of Genesis. Even though the focus of the stories primarily featured males, there have been books written portraying the possible stories of the females. In the modern fiction book, The Red Tent, by Anita Diamant, this book begins to describe Dinah of the Bible. Even though her life is only hinted at in the brief and the violent detour within the more familiar chapters of the book of Genesis, which are about her father, Jacob, and his dozen sons. This novel is told through the eyes of Dinah. Her voice speaks out, revealing the traditions and the turmoils of ancient womanhood, the world of the Red Tent. It begins with the story of her mothers, Leah, Rachel, Zilpah, and Bilhah, the 4 wives of Jacob. They love Dinah and give her gifts that sustain her through a hard-working youth, a calling to midwifery, and a new home in a foreign land. Dinah's story reaches out from a remarkable period of early history and creates an intimate connection with the past. It combines rich storytelling with a valuable achievement in modern fiction, a new view of biblical women's society, honoring women during their time of menstruation, that they gathered in the red tent, giving the women a time of caring for one another, rejuvenation, and the sharing of storytelling. What a contrast to some of the current experiences around the world today, as young women are ostracized, often isolated, and not allowed to even attend school during their sacred menstrual cycle. In the years before the Civil War, Anne Revis Jarvis of West Virginia, she helped start what was called Mother's Day work clubs to teach local women how to properly care for their children. She ran Mother's Day work clubs to combat high infant and child mortality rates, mostly due to the diseases that ravaged their community in Grafton, West Virginia. These clubs later became a unifying force in a region of the country still divided by the Civil War. And in 1868, Jarvis organized Mother's Friendship Day, at which mothers gathered with former Union and Confederate soldiers to provide reconciliation. Now in my imagination, I can see these women holding or cuddling wounded soldiers in their arms, not even asking which side they were fighting for, as she was fighting for their existence and to be present in their pain. Another precursor to the modern day Mother's Day came from the abolitionist and the suffragette, Julia Ward Howe. In 1870, Howe wrote the Mother's Day Proclamation, a call to action that asked mothers to unite in promoting world peace. In 1873, Howe campaigned for a Mother's Peace Day to be celebrated every June 2nd. However, most credit Mother's Day is given to Anna Jarvis with her campaign. She's the daughter of Anne Reeves Jarvis, and she wanted to celebrate her mother specifically with the work that she had done and a desire to carry on her mother. However, Mrs. Jarvis wanted the work done by mothers to improve their lives. Anna's perspective was that of a devoted daughter. In 1914, President Woodrow Wilson signed a proclamation declaring the second Sunday of May a public expression of our love and reverence for the mothers of our country. As the day began to take on a life of its own, with expanded focus on gifts and breakfast in bed and more commercial attention and material profiteering, Anne Jarvis spent the rest of her life campaigning to stop the Mother's Day celebration. In an article by Olivia Waxman, some historians also point out the paradoxical timing of Jarvis's vision of Mother's Day, taking hold at the beginning of the 20th century. People have been talking about this for decades, but the holiday got national attention just at a time when more women were beginning to get jobs outside the home. And some experts see the embrace of a celebration of motherhood as a backlash against the change. Even though there is much known about the suffrage movement by those already identified in this presentation, there are many more women who have continued to work for the improvement of our lives, like Audre Lorde, who lived from 1934 to 1992. She was an American writer, feminist, woman, librarian, civil rights activist. She was a self-described, quote, Black, lesbian, mother, warrior, poet, who dedicated both her life and her creative talent to confronting and addressing injustices of racism, sexism, classism, and capitalism, heterosexism, and homophobia. We seem to have a lot of hisms in our society. What other modern day women are moving toward us? Perhaps women like Brene Brown, who's a motivational speaker and educator in writing about courage and true belonging. Perhaps it's Stacey Abrams. She's an activist and a political leader, writing the book Leading from the Outside. Or Clarissa McCullough Estes, who wrote Women Who Run with the Wolves, The Wild Women, The Women Who Run. Clarissa Estes writes of the feminine as described by Carl Jung, a well-known Swiss psychologist who identified the archetype of the anima and the animus, the feminine and the masculine in each of us. What if Mother's Day's celebration is when we join with our female friends, lovers, mothers, and took on the streets like the suffragettes movement? What if this day was contributed to some of the ways to increase this awareness, to foster the rights of women past the right to vote, that 19th Amendment? What if this day does acknowledge the contributions of women toward more acceptance of the feminine influence in our culture? Bringing forth some of the original instigations for this celebration. How are we taking to the streets today? Literally. Perhaps the Women's March. Or perhaps signifying a need to shift priorities and bringing increased respect to light about the importance of the feminine. What do women, or the feminine in each of us, bring to the table besides food? Perhaps sustenance to our lives, understanding of midwifing, the balance in our lives, our organizations, and our overall well-being.
congregation is supported solely by the generosity of members and friends who willingly support its mission and our desire to be a welcoming and supportive community for all people who aspire to uphold the principles that we affirm. We have come to the time in our service when we share with you the information for how to text and give or write a check to the church. As always, we thank you for everything you do to support us and our mission.
Our closing words today are by Audre Lorde. When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid. Blessed be, and go in peace.
Jane wakes up 6 a.m. on a Monday. The company car waits. Sheets are soft and cold. She packs her bags, another flight, a new hotel. It's a routine she knows well. She's got places to go, and she'll be 40 on Thursday. But why should she mind? Celebrating on a plane with peanuts and wine. When everybody tells her you got it all that money can't buy, you got a real good life. You got it all, oh, honey, don't cry. You got a real good life. Jill wakes up Tuesday at 2 a.m. for her diaper bag weighing 3 kids and a minivan. She put her time in those hospital stirrups. Oh, they vomit and cough syrup with a real good family man. And she'll be 40 on Thursday, but why should she care? She'll dress it up her way with a bouquet from her kids in her hair. And everybody tells her you got it all that money can't buy. You got a real good life. You got it all, oh, honey, don't cry. You got a real good life. Was this not everything you wanted? Why is it what we haven't got that leaves us haunted? You got it all, oh. You got a real good life. You got it all, yeah. You got a real good life.